food shortages, crisis at the border, even the risk of rioting across the UK. The government has released its assessment of what could happen if the UK leaves the EU without a deal, and it makes for startling reading. The 6 pages of Operation Yellowhammer warn that in the worst-case scenario, there could be long delays at channel crossings, significant electricity price rises and impacts on medicine and food supplies. Well, the document says certain types of fresh food supply will decrease, with a risk that panic buying will cause or exacerbate food supply disruption. On medicines, it warns that supplies will be vulnerable to severe delays. It will also not be practical to stockpile products to cover expected delays of up to 6 months. Of the expected disruption at Channel ports, it says there will be significant queues in Kent, with delays of 1.5 to 2.5 days before being able to cross the border. On fuel supplies, the documents say border delays could affect fuel distribution. Customer behaviour could lead to local shortages in other parts of the country. And it warns that violence could break out. Protests and counter-protests will take place across the UK and may absorb significant amounts of police resource. There may also be a rise in public disorder and community tensions. Well, let's go straight then to Westminster and our Deputy Political Editor, Sam Coates. Reaction has been ferocious, Sam. How bad is it?
19 bullet points, each one eye-watering. The possible consequences of a no-deal Brexit. Government tonight playing down the warnings, suggesting that they were prepared for Theresa May's government, using old assumptions, and that they are working hard to make sure that none of these things become the truth. Yet, with the warnings here tonight of what might happen on October the 31st, many of them make stark reading. Areas like medicine, the document is uncompromising. It says while some products can be stockpiled, others have short shelf lives, and it's not practical to stockpile products to cover expected delays of 6 months. You mentioned riots. It talks about public disorder, food prices and electricity prices set to rise. I think there's going to be a lot of anger about the contents of this document, and some cross too about the way in which these warnings are worded. No doubt some trying to blast them as Project Fear, an attempt perhaps by officials to convince the incoming Boris Johnson government out of doing a no-deal Brexit. This document is dated August the 2nd, just weeks after the new Prime Minister took office. Nevertheless, the anger from those opposed to a no-deal Brexit and uncomprehending about Britain might be preparing to take the kind of risks contained in this document has been swift. Let's hear from Philip Lee, who until last week became a Liberal Democrat MP, previously a Conservative.
It is shocking. I mean, really, did people in 2016 vote to have problems accessing clean water? Did they vote to have problems accessing necessary emergency medicines? Did they vote to have problems with access to fresh food? Of course they didn't.
What is the political fallout likely to be, and does the Prime Minister still believe that a clean break Brexit is worth pursuing?
So, Boris Johnson will face questions, not of course in the Parliament, because that's prorogued. MPs sent away on Monday night for 5 weeks. Nevertheless, he will be called upon in the coming days to reassure the public why these are risks that just might, have to be worth taking. It's been interesting talking to Conservative MPs. Some of them have been talking to him about a no-deal Brexit in recent days. Just last week, a couple of Tory MPs told me he was saying that whilst each individual measure for a no-deal Brexit might in itself be able to be overcome, that in totality this does present a massive challenge. In 2001, Tony Blair delayed a general election because of delays at refineries, meaning fuel shortages and queues at petrol pumps. That, by the way, is understood to be what's behind the blacked out or censored section from tonight's document. That alone was enough to cause massive disruption to politics as well as economics and business. Here is 19 different things that could cause enormous challenges. It's a hell of a gamble. The government is going to have to provide some reassurance in the days to come.